Welcome to our deep dive into childhood immunizations. I'm so glad we're finally tackling this one.
Yeah, tons of listeners have been asking for this one. It's great to be here.
We're going to break down those essential vaccines recommended for kids so everyone feels confident about what they need to know.
That's the goal. The research you sent over is fantastic. Lots to dig into.
There's a lot, right? But I think we can make this stuff easy to follow and maybe even, interesting.
Absolutely.
You know what really surprised me? Before the measles vaccine existed, millions of kids got measles every single year, just in the U.S. alone.
Oh, yeah.
And it led to hundreds of deaths, which is just crazy to think about now.
Yeah, and it really highlights why it's important to understand, not just what vaccines are, but the why behind them.
Oh, totally.
So let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Back to the basics. Immunity. We've all heard the word a million times, but what does it actually mean?
It's like our body's own personal shield against getting sick, right? Like it's how our body fights off diseases.
Exactly. It's your body's ability to resist all those, all those nasty bugs and things that can make you sick.
Right, right.
But it's not as simple as it sounds. Immunity isn't just like one thing. There are different types of immunity.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we have innate immunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind we're born with.
Okay.
Like our skin, for instance. That acts as a barrier to germs.
Makes sense.
Then there's adaptive immunity.
Yeah.
And that develops over time as we're exposed to different germs and stuff.
So it's like our immune system is constantly learning and getting stronger.
Exactly. The more it encounters, the better it gets at fighting it off.
Cool.
Oh, and then there's passive immunity.
Oh, yeah.
This one's temporary but super important, especially for babies.
Okay.
This comes from antibodies that are passed from mom to baby.
Oh, right, yeah.
Either during pregnancy, through the placenta, or through breast milk.
So that's another reason why breastfeeding is so good for babies.
Exactly. It gives them that extra boost of protection, those antibodies from mom.
Right.
But those maternal antibodies don't stick around forever. They start to wear off after a few months.
Makes sense.
And that's where vaccines come in to give babies that long-lasting protection they need.
It's like this perfect handoff of protection almost. From mom to vaccine.
It is, yeah.
So how do these vaccines work? I remember hearing something about weakened germs or something.
You're right. They introduce, it's like a weakened or inactive form of the virus or bacteria into the body. So it's basically mimicking a natural infection, but without actually causing the illness.
Right.
So it's like giving your immune system a chance to meet the bad guy in a safe environment.
Like a training exercise for the immune system.
Exactly.
So it's ready to fight if it ever encounters that germ, in real life later on.
Exactly. It's like showing your immune system a wanted poster of the virus or bacteria, so it knows what to look for and how to fight it.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And there are actually different types of vaccines.
Oh.
Yeah. So some vaccines use what we call live attenuated viruses or bacteria.
Oh, okay.
And those are weakened versions that can still replicate, but not enough to cause illness.
Interesting.
Then we've got inactivated vaccines,
mm-hmm.
and those use killed versions.
Oh, okay.
And there are even subunit vaccines.
Whoa, so many.
I know, right? Subunit vaccines use just specific parts of the virus or bacteria.
Okay.
Just enough to trigger an immune response.
Gotcha. So many different ways to train our immune systems.
Right. And that's why the vaccine schedule can look kind of complicated at first.
It does. I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed. Ha ha. But I am curious to know more about the actual vaccines that are on the schedule.
Yeah, for sure. You provided the CDC's recommended immunization schedule. So let's walk through that.
Okay, sounds good.
One of the first vaccines a baby gets is the hepatitis B vaccine.
Okay.
Or Hep B.
Hep B, right.
Yeah.
I think I remember getting that one too. Don't babies get that one right after they're born?
Yeah, usually within 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
Hepatitis B is a viral infection that attacks the liver, and for infants, it can become chronic and lead to some serious long-term problems.
Like what?
Like cirrhosis or even liver cancer.
Wow. Okay.
So that first shot is crucial.
I thought their first line of defense.
Exactly.
But why are there multiple doses?
So multiple doses help make sure the baby develops a strong and lasting immune response.
So it's not just a one and done kind of thing?
Not quite, no.
Okay.
So they actually get 3 doses in total.
Wow.
And they're given as intramuscular injections.
What does that mean?
It means they go directly into the muscle.
Oh, okay, right. So that's why I remember getting shots in the leg as a kid.
Yep.
But why the leg?
For infants, the preferred injection site is the thigh muscle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's a large and well-developed muscle.
Okay.
So it's the safest and most effective way to give the vaccine.
Okay, that makes sense. So 3 doses of Hep B for early protection against hepatitis B.
Got it.
What comes next?
All right, next is a combo vaccine.
A combo? What's that?
It means it protects against multiple things. This one is called DTaP-P.
DTaP, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So that stands for diphtheria, tetanus, and acellular pertussis.
Okay. But what even are those 3 diseases? Like, why do we need a special vaccine for them?
They can be pretty scary, to be honest.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So diphtheria, for instance, that's a respiratory illness. It can cause breathing problems that are so severe that it can be hard to breathe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Tetanus, or lockjaw, is caused by bacteria, and it releases a toxin that can affect the nervous system.
Okay.
It leads to really bad muscle spasms.
Muscle spasms.
Yeah, and they can be so strong that they can even cause bone fractures.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, pretty serious stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see why we need a vaccine for those. What about pertussis? Is that the one that causes that, like, really bad cough?
You got it.
Yeah.
Pertussis is also known as whooping cough, and it's especially dangerous for babies.
Oh, no.
They can cough so hard that they actually stop breathing.
Really?
Or even vomit. And the whooping sound actually comes from them gasping for air between coughs.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it can be pretty rough.
Okay, well, I am definitely convinced.
Good.
We do not want those diseases. So, how many DTaP shots do kids need to stay protected?
They get 5 doses total.
5? Wow.
Yeah. The first 3 are given pretty early at 2, 4, and 6 months of age. And then they get a booster between 12 and 18 months. And then the final dose is given between 4 and 6 years old.
Wow, that's quite a schedule. But I guess, it's worth it to know that they're protected from those, like, really scary illnesses.
I think so, yeah. And speaking of peace of mind, the next one on the schedule is one that has had a huge impact globally.
Okay, what is it?
The polio vaccine, or IPV.
Oh, polio. I know that was a big deal a long time ago, but we don't really hear about it much anymore.
It's true.
So what does polio actually, do to the body?
So polio is a viral infection, and it can attack the nervous system.
Okay.
And in some cases, it can lead to paralysis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it can be pretty bad. Like, imagine not being able to walk.
Oh, no.
Or even breathe on your own. It was a really scary disease.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to the vaccine, it's really rare now.
That's amazing how vaccines can almost, erase diseases that used to be so scary.
I know, it's pretty incredible.
So how many doses of the polio vaccine do kids get?
So the inactivated polio vaccine, IPV, is given in 4 doses.
Okay.
The first 3 are given at 2, 4, and 6 to 18 months of age.
Okay.
And then there's a booster dose given between 4 and 6 years of age.
So 4 doses for long-term protection against polio. Got it. What else is on the list?
Let's see. Up next is the MMR vaccine.
MMR. I think I remember that one.
Yeah. It protects against measles, mumps, and rubella.
Okay. Remind me what those are all about.
Okay, so measles is it's a very contagious respiratory virus. It starts with a fever, cough, runny nose, and then you get a rash.
Yuck.
Yeah. And it can lead to some serious complications like pneumonia, ear infections, and even encephalitis.
What's encephalitis?
It's basically inflammation of the brain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then there's mumps.
Okay.
It causes painful swelling of the salivary glands.
Oh, right. It gives you that chipmunk cheeks look.
Exactly. And it can also lead to meningitis or encephalitis.
Oh, man. None of that sounds good.
Not at all. And then there's rubella.
Right, rubella. I think I've heard that one is dangerous for pregnant women.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So rubella itself is usually mild in kids.
Okay.
But if a pregnant woman gets it, it can cause serious birth defects in the baby.
So the MMR vaccine is protecting both kids and future babies then?
That's right.
That's incredible. So when do kids get the MMR?
It's given in 2 doses.
Okay.
The first one's given at 12 months of age or older.
Okay.
And the second one's between 4 and 6 years old.
So 2 doses to cover those 3 diseases. Gotcha. But why is the first MMR dose given around a baby's first birthday? I thought we were talking about how they get some protection from their mom at first.
You're right.
Yeah.
They do. Those maternal antibodies we talked about earlier, they They offer some protection for the first few months.
Okay.
But then that protection starts to fade. So it's important to get that first dose of MMR to make sure there's no gap in protection.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah, it's all about timing.
Okay, so we've covered Hep B, DTaP, polio, and MMR. What's next?
All right, let's talk about Hib.
Hib. What's that?
That stands for Haemophilus influenza type B.
Okay.
It's a vaccine that protects against a type of bacteria.
Okay.
It can cause some serious infections, especially in young kids.
What kind of infections are we talking about here?
Well, it can cause a range of things, actually. Pneumonia, ear infections, and even a really serious infection called bacterial meningitis.
Meningitis? Isn't that the infection of the lining of the brain?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, man.
It can be really bad, even fatal.
Okay.
Especially in young children. But the Hib vaccine has been super effective in preventing these infections, including meningitis.
So it's like super important to get?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so when is the Hib vaccine given?
It's actually given in 4 doses, kind of like the DTaP and PCV schedules.
Oh, okay.
So 2, 4, and 6 months of age, and then a final booster somewhere between 12 and 15 months of age.
Gotcha. 4 doses to make sure they're really protected from Hib.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
Okay, this one might bring back some itchy memories.
Oh, no. What is it?
The varicella vaccine.
Yeah, and that's for?
Chickenpox.
Oh, I do remember those itchy spots, so I'm guessing the vaccine prevents that.
Yep, it's super effective at preventing chickenpox.
Okay.
Although sometimes kids who are vaccinated might still get a very, very mild case.
So even if they do get chickenpox, it's like way less severe.
Exactly. Way fewer spots, less itching, and it doesn't last as long. And it helps reduce the risk of complications.
Like what?
Like skin infections or pneumonia.
Oh, yikes. Okay, so less itching and fewer complications. That's a win-win. So when do they get the chickenpox vaccine?
The varicella vaccine is also given in 2 doses.
Okay.
The first at 12 months or older, and then the second between 4 and 6 years of age.
Okay. 2 doses to avoid the itchy spots. Got it.
All right, what else? Oh.
Okay.
The pneumococcal vaccine, or PCV.
Pneumococcal. Okay,
Yeah.
What's that one all about?
This one protects against a type of bacteria called Streptococcus pneumonia.
Streptococcus pneumonia. That sounds scary. What does it do?
Well, it can cause lots of things, actually.
I know. Like what?
Like pneumonia, ear infections, and meningitis.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like Hib then.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so is the schedule similar too?
It is. It's also given in 4 doses.
Okay.
2 for 6 months of age.
Yeah.
And then a final booster between 12 and 15 months of age.
All right, 4 doses to protect against pneumococcal bacteria.
You got it.
We've talked about a lot of vaccines. Are we almost done?
Almost. One more to go, a big one.
Okay, hit me with it.
It's the rotavirus vaccine.
Rotavirus, okay. And what does that one do?
Rotavirus is a common cause of diarrhea
Oh.
in infants and young kids.
Okay.
And it can cause dehydration, which can be really dangerous, especially for little ones.
Yeah, that's right.
So the rotavirus vaccine helps prevent those severe cases of diarrhea.
Gotcha. So like protection for their little tummies.
Exactly.
When do babies usually get this one?
It's given in either 2 or 3 doses, depending on which brand of vaccine is used.
Okay.
But usually at 2, 4, and 6 months of age.
Okay.
2 or 3 doses to help prevent those really bad cases of diarrhea.
Got it. So that covers like all the important vaccines given during childhood then, right?
Yeah, I think we hit all the main ones.
Wow, that was a lot. It's amazing, though, all these vaccines working to protect against so many different things.
It's really remarkable.
But are there any, like, things that might change when a child should get vaccinated?
Oh, that's a good question. And it leads perfectly into what we should talk about next.
Okay.
So the schedule we just talked about, it's a good guideline.
Right.
But there are some situations where a child might need to have their vaccinations postponed or maybe adjusted a little bit.
What kind of situations are we talking about?
Well, for example, if a child recently had a blood transfusion, their vaccinations might need to be delayed a bit.
Oh, okay.
The same goes for if they have a high fever or if they're like really sick. It's all about making sure their immune system isn't overloaded.
That makes sense.
Yep. And children with a weakened immune system or who are on certain medications,
okay,
they might not be able to get certain vaccines at all. It depends.
Oh, wow.
It's super important to to talk to the child's doctor about these situations.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to consider. So it's important to have open communication with your doctor.
Absolutely. They can give you the best guidance for your child.
For sure. Are there any other times a vaccine might need to be postponed?
Sometimes neurological problems can be a reason.
Okay.
Or if a child's had a bad reaction to a vaccine before.
Oh, right.
Things like that.
So it's really important to tell your doctor everything so they have all the information.
Yeah, exactly. They can help you figure out the best plan for your child.
It sounds like there's a lot of things to think about with vaccines. It really shows how important it is to talk to your child's doctor and, make sure they're getting the best possible care.
Definitely. And healthcare providers are a great resource for information. They can address any questions you have and put your mind at ease.
This has been so informative.
Good.
We've learned about how vaccines work and all the different diseases they prevent.
Right.
And we even went through the whole childhood vaccine schedule. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
We've talked a lot about how vaccines work on an individual level.
Yeah.
But how have vaccines impacted global health?
That's a great question. It's a big one.
Yeah.
And it's one we'll definitely explore more in the next part of our deep dive.
Awesome. I can't wait.
We'll talk about the history of vaccines and how they've changed things, around the world. It's a really fascinating story.
It is. So join us next time as we continue this journey and explore the amazing impact vaccines have had on the world. Welcome back to our deep dive into childhood immunity. Last time we talked about the specific vaccines kids need and why they're so important, but now I'm kind of curious about the bigger picture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How have vaccines impacted global health?
Well, it's a pretty amazing story, actually.
Yeah.
Vaccines are considered one of the greatest achievements in public health.
I can see why.
They've saved so many lives, and they've really reduced the number of people getting sick from all these infectious diseases.
That's incredible. So many lives saved.
I know, right? It's pretty remarkable.
Can you give me some specific examples?
Oh yeah, tons. So let's start with smallpox.
Okay.
It used to be a huge threat, globally.
Yeah.
A really contagious virus.
Hmm.
And it could just sweep through communities, leaving behind scars, blindness, even death.
It's hard to even imagine what that must have been like.
Yeah, it was a really tough time. For centuries, actually.
Yeah.
But because of a worldwide vaccination campaign, smallpox was officially eradicated in 1980.
Eradicated.
Yeah.
Gone.
Wow. So that means, smallpox doesn't exist anywhere in the world anymore.
That's right. That's incredible.
It is. And, it's the only human disease to be completely wiped out by vaccination.
It's amazing how we can, eliminate a disease completely.
It really is.
Are there any other diseases that are close to being eradicated because of vaccines?
Oh, for sure. Polio is a great example.
Polio, right.
Remember we talked about the polio vaccine earlier?
Yeah.
Well, because of global initiatives, like the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, the number of polio cases has dropped dramatically.
Wow.
It's awesome. We're so close to seeing another disease disappear.
That gives me hope for the future of public health.
Me too.
It's amazing to think that these diseases that used to be so scary and cause so much suffering, might not even exist anymore soon.
It's pretty powerful, right?
It is.
And, the impact of vaccines, it goes way beyond just eradication.
Oh, yeah.
They've also played a major role in reducing the number of cases for other diseases.
Like what?
Like measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, Hiv, all the ones we were talking about before.
Right.
So it's not just about protecting one person.
It's about everyone.
Exactly. It's about protecting communities and, the whole world.
It's we're all connected.
We are.
Yeah.
And that's really important to remember.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think, oh, we don't need vaccines anymore. These diseases aren't around as much.
Right. I've heard that. Why bother?
Yeah.
But that's not true, is it?
No, not really. It's a dangerous way of thinking, actually. Vaccines have definitely made these diseases less common in developed countries. But that doesn't mean they're gone.
Right.
They're still out there.
Okay.
And, the world is so interconnected these days with travel and everything.
Yeah. It's easier than ever for diseases to spread.
So we can't let our guard down, even if we're not seeing these diseases as much.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting ourselves. It's about protecting the people around us too.
The more vulnerable people.
Yeah, babies who are too young to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Or people with weaker immune systems.
Right, who can't get certain vaccines.
Exactly.
It's like we have a responsibility to protect them.
We do. It's about, looking out for each other.
It's like, it's not just about my child, it's about all children.
I like that, yeah.
We have to work together.
Exactly. Vaccines are a perfect example of, what we can achieve when we all work together.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I have a much better understanding of how important vaccines are, not just for like individuals, but for the whole world.
Glad to hear it.
But let's bring it back to the individual level for a minute.
Okay.
I'm curious to hear more about the role of healthcare providers in all this. Yeah, that's a good point.
How can those conversations between parents and doctors, help people make decisions about vaccines?
That's a great question, and it's a perfect transition into our final part.
Okay, awesome.
We'll talk about how those conversations can empower parents to make the best choices for their kids.
Sounds good. So join us next time as we wrap up this deep dive with a look at the crucial role healthcare providers play in navigating the world of vaccines.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've covered a ton of ground already, from the science behind vaccines to their global impact.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, but now I want to zoom in on something that's super important, the role of healthcare providers in all this.
Yeah, for sure. Those conversations between doctors and parents they're crucial.
Because let's be real, the world of vaccines can be kind of overwhelming, right?
Definitely. There's just so much information out there.
It's hard to know what to believe sometimes.
It is, especially with all the misinformation online these days. Yeah, exactly. It can feel like a jungle of information overload.
It really can.
And that's where doctors come in, right?
Yeah, totally.
They're the experts. They can help us navigate all of that.
Exactly. Healthcare providers are like your trusted guides. They have the knowledge, the training, to address your concerns and answer your questions.
So let's talk about those conversations then. What are some key things parents should be asking their child's doctor?
Okay, well, first of all, remember, you're not alone.
Right.
Doctors are there to support you, every step of the way. So don't hesitate to ask anything that comes to mind.
Okay. Good to know.
Seriously, any question, no matter how small or how silly it might seem.
I think sometimes parents are worried about sounding judgmental or uninformed, especially when it comes to vaccines.
Oh, I totally get that. It's a sensitive topic.
It is.
But, healthcare providers, they're trained to approach these conversations with empathy and understanding.
That makes sense.
They've heard it all. And their goal is to give you the information and the reassurance you need to make those decisions for your child.
So what are some specific questions parents might want to ask? I know sometimes it's easy to blank out in the doctor's office and forget everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It happens all the time.
Yep.
Well, a good place to start is with the specific vaccines that are recommended for your child's age.
Okay.
You can ask about, the diseases they protect against and the potential side effects and, just what to expect after the vaccination.
Right.
And you can also ask about the schedule itself.
Okay. So, is it totally set in stone or is there any wiggle room?
Yeah, good question. So the recommended schedule, it's a general guideline, but there can be some flexibility, depending on your child's individual situation.
Okay.
Like, for instance, if your child was born prematurely, the doctor might recommend a slightly different schedule.
Oh, that makes sense. Like a more personalized approach.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about safety concerns? I know that's a big one for a lot of parents.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, rightfully so, right? We want to make sure our kids are safe.
Absolutely. And it's really important to voice those concerns. Your doctor can give you evidence-based information to help you understand, the testing and the safety protocols and all that. So it's about having an open conversation and feeling comfortable sharing your worries.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a two-way street,
Okay.
It's important for parents to listen to their doctor's explanations and ask follow-up questions if anything is unclear.
So it's like a team effort.
Yeah, I like that. It's about shared decision-making.
I love that. Shared decision-making.
Yeah, where both the parent and the doctor feel good about the choices being made.
I think that takes some of the pressure off parents, too. We don't have to have all the answers.
Exactly. You're not in it alone. You have your doctor to help you along the way. It's all about working together to make the best choices for your child.
That's what it's all about. Making sure every child has the opportunity to to be healthy and thrive.
Well said.
Thanks.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like we've covered so much.
We have. We talked about the science, the impact, and now the important role of those conversations with doctors.
And I think one thing is clear. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more we know about vaccines, the better we can, talk to our doctors and make informed choices.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So keep asking questions, stay curious, and remember, you've got your child's doctor on your side.
That's a great reminder. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this journey into the world of childhood immunity. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.